Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us, and for this video I'm going to be discussing with you missing links. And the reason for this is because, let's be honest, first and foremost, myself included, when I saw images for these two guys as missing link, probably about this sort of time last year, I thought at first, same as most people, that they were like hoax, they were fake, they weren't going to come to any fruition at all. And of course, lo and behold, we then went and got both versions of these. So as I say, one, let's be honest, isn't the most animation accurate. They could have perhaps changed the leg color, etc. But still, we got two missing link convoys, missing link primes, whatever you want to call them, depends on your continuity. And I think, well, it proved how well they sold. They sold out everywhere. And as far as I'm aware, because I know in Show Z, they put some more up for pre-order. So it looks like they're going to be making even more. So I suppose their attempt at something completely out there has worked. And as I said, I think the sales proves just how popular it was as well. Now, of course, we know that we're getting these, and this to me is an absolute no-brainer, because again, I still think they're testing the water, seeing how popular they are. So rather than risk the expense of going for really big expensive figures, expensive molds, they've gone for two smaller ones, which again I fully expect to see another reissue of them all, but with their reversed colours. Because again, for those of you who collect G1, you probably already know that Bumblebee also came out in red and Cliffjumper came out as yellow. So I fully see that happening. However, afterwards, I want to discuss with you guys. I want you guys to let me know in the comments, and you never know, people might be watching this, they might be taking our comments on board as well. So what do you think? I'm going to be discussing with you what I think could be. I'm not going to be discussing with you what I think the next one is, because there's just too many. I'm going to look at it from two sort of sides. One as a fan, as things that I really want to see, and the other, I suppose, of course, from a business perspective, and would it be worthwhile doing them. Now, the next one, I think, for a business purpose, and I think to fully for loads and loads of fans to satisfy, that's the word I was looking for, to satisfy loads of fans, would of course be, now when I say Starscream, I don't just mean Starscream, I mean the Seeker molds. Now we already know they've got it. This is of course the movie version of this particular figure. So of course you do a Starscream mold, you've obviously got Skywarp, you got Ramjet, you got Thrust, you've got Thundercracker, you've got Sunstorm, Acid Storm. The list is huge and it goes on and on forever. So you could, I think if you do this, loads of the Seeker fans will be really pleased. And of course, as I say, it makes perfect sense as a business model for Takara to just keep reissuing that mold in the different colours. So if I mean, I'd love to see it as well. So it's a bit of a both. It's a dual fan and I suppose business mode. Same, I think, for this particular guy. Blue Streak, once you get Blue Streak, you've got Prowl, you've got Smokescreen as well. And let's be honest, I think these still look beautiful. I think these are still some of the, you know, the shelf presence. I mean, they don't do much, but just look how beautiful it looks. Imagine that, you know, with fully articulated legs, a waist swivel and things like that. So I think, again, for this, and again, of course, Streak and some of the Autobot cars, because of their connection to Diaclone in Japan, they're obviously far more popular. They've got much more, I suppose, of a sentimental thing to the Japanese public, with the fact that these were Diaclone figures first and foremost. So you never know, these could be high on the list. Speaking of Diaclone figures and a brilliant opportunity, I'm not going to say for them to right or wrong. That's a little bit too strong, but imagine these. Imagine Ratchet, imagine Ironhide with a knee joint there, and then because of today's technology, because of the space and everything they've got here, imagine like a folding out head, a real head, some real shoulders on it, just something. Maybe righting or wrong was too strong, but it's sort of what I'm trying to say. I'm sure you can understand as well. Great figures, brilliant little bases, but when you learn about Diaclone and the fact that a little pilot was supposed to go there and it was an exosuit rather than a robot itself, you do appreciate it a bit more. But as a Transformers fan, I would love to, of course, see this with a real head. And, you know, maybe the missing link is that exact opportunity to do such a thing. And before we go on to the final one, which I think everybody's going to be screaming for, and I'm saving him till the end, this one I think would be just as popular. And again, we've had numerous reissues of this guy. I obviously don't know how to make toys, but I'm imagining, looking at this, it wouldn't be too difficult to alter this mold to give him knee joints, to give him a bit more bicep flexion, etc. And again, soundwave cells. Simple as soundwave cells. They can do all the cassettes again. Absolutely. So for a business perspective and business point of view as well, you release him, you're releasing how many other figures? You get Sound Blaster as well. Again, Japanese continuity, and you're going to get 6 to 10 tapes depending on how many you want to do from whichever continuity. Now, the big one that I know everybody's going to be screaming about, and myself included. And this is for two reasons, of course. One, as a fan, and two, I think, as a business perspective. So it is, of course, it's Generation 1 Megatron. We all know that, unfortunately, it looks like in Hasbro, the US, UK, and everywhere apart from Japan, we're never going to see his true alternate mode. I just don't think we will. I think if we would have done, I think if we could rather, we would have seen it by now. As I say, it's been 40 years, and not since they made, obviously, his original thingy mold, but I think it's just been too long. So the other good reason, again, is I think that they could do a number of versions. So for those of you unaware, the first one that came out in Japan didn't actually have any chrome on him. He was just gunmetal grey with no scope or anything like that. It wasn't until the Goodbye Megatron, in fact, I can't even remember, as I say, an actual single release of Megatron had the scope, etc. in Japan. So they could do exactly that. They could do a gunmetal version, a bit like what they did with the Prime. They released two Primes, that you could have a chrome one and a gunmetal grey one. But if we're also being honest, and if they packaged him in robot mode, I would quite definitely put money on the fact that it would be the best and the most, the highest selling Transformers figure, I think, perhaps of all time. And the reason being for exactly that if it was marketed well enough, they packaged him in his robot mode, and it was sold on an international and worldwide platform, that everybody would be getting it, because again, it would be the only true way to get a original Generation 1 in his alternate mode. They're my thoughts anyway. Of course, I'd love to see any of them. If we got a Blaster, if we got a Perceptor, I still wouldn't be bothered. I'd still be buying it because I just think it's a great concept, and I was really surprised that it did come to fruition. They're my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments, guys, and fingers crossed for many more missing links. Take care.